human life. Game over. Thark sat back in his gaming pod, staring at the holographic display floating before him. In vivid white text, it proclaimed "Game over," beneath which his final score was displayed, 2,876,000 points. That was good, he thought. Very good, in fact. It wasn't often one managed to survive 93 years in the game human life, let alone make it to a game rank of CFO. But now, as the adrenaline of the game began to fade, he felt a profound emptiness. Tharks glanced at the chronometer on his pod. Just over 5 hours had passed. 5 hours in the real world while he lived a lifetime as a human on a strange blue planet named Earth. He remembered the laughter and cries of his children, the comforting presence of his wife, his triumphs and failures at work, and all the fleeting moments that make up a life. All mere illusions of the game, yet so vivid, so real. He unstrapped himself from the pod and stepped out into his apartment. Everything looked unfamiliar, as though he was seeing it for the first time. The metallic walls shimmered with bright fluorescent colors. The floating orbs of light gave off an ethereal glow. This was his home, yet it felt alien to him after the comforting familiarity of his human life. Tharks's hands shook as he poured himself a glass of Glanar, a sweet and tangy drink meant to soothe his nerves. He sipped slowly, his gaze wandering around his living room. He noticed the family portrait on the wall, his real family. They looked at him with smiling eyes, yet he felt a pang of sorrow. He missed his human family, their softness, their warmth. Here in the real world, emotions felt cold and distant. He touched the communicator on his wrist. "Thalia," he called for his wife. A soft chime responded, followed by her voice. "Yes, Tharex? Can you come home early? I need you." "Is everything okay? Did something happen in the game?" He hesitated, then confessed, "Yes, I lived a long life. It was intense. I'm finding it hard to adjust." "Oh, Tharks," Thalia's voice softened. "I'll be right there." As he ended the call, he wondered how he could explain to her the depth of his experience. Tharks had played the game many times before, but this session had been different. He had loved and lived as a human, felt the weight of years, and experienced the profound loss of death. Now he was left with a void that his real life couldn't fill. He sank into his hovering armchair, the cool metal offering little comfort. He looked around his home. Everything looked so perfect, so precise, just as his life had been before the game, but now it all felt so empty. His eyes fell on the gaming pod. The holographic "Game Over" screen still hovered in the air, a chilling reminder of the life he had left behind. With a sigh, Tharks reached out and dismissed the display with a swipe of his hand. The illusion was gone, but the memories, feelings, and experiences from his 93-year-long human life remained, imprinted in his mind. Before he could ponder further, the door to his apartment slid open, and Thalia walked in, concern etched on her face. Tharks attempted a smile, but it was a half-hearted one. His human life had been filled with the complexities of emotions, but it was here, in his real life, that he felt truly lost. Life became increasingly harder for Tharks each day. His extraterrestrial existence with its alien conundrums seemed absurd compared to the rich complexity of his human life. Thalia and his friends tried to empathize, but their attempts at consolation were fruitless. Despite the vibrancy of his actual world, the memories of his human life outshone it. Desperate to reclaim a sense of normalcy, Tharks threw himself into his everyday routines. He forced laughter during friendly gatherings, engaged in his once-enjoyed hobbies, and reassured Thalia of his recovery. Yet, his human memories cast a long shadow that seemed impenetrable. One day, as he was piloting his hover vehicle through the bustling city, a sudden memory overwhelmed him. He was back on the Pacific Coast Highway, his human children giggling in the back seat, the ocean breeze carrying their joy through the open windows. The memory was so palpable, so real, that he could almost taste the salty air. Caught in the throes of nostalgia, Tharks's attention slipped. The cityscape blurred into a whirl of colors and sounds. There was a violent jolt, the screech of metal, and then everything went black. Tharks awakened in his gaming chair. The HUD was replaced by a familiar bedroom poster of a rock band. The room wasn't his alien home, but a replica of a human teenage bedroom. His mind was a whirlwind of confusion and disbelief. He stumbled to the mirror and gawked at his reflection. A teenage boy stared back, not the matured human finance director, not the alien Tharks. He had another name now, Jake.